through 2014-15, when it came to the schools, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
Then we get to 2015-16, and we're down to the 30 million. Did I understand you to say that was K-8?
Yes.
And that's not in concert with what the school system was asking, is it?
That was not in their request. I talked to Dr. Taylor, the school superintendent, about that, got the number of 30 million from him, and that would be with closure of the other location and having one location.
I'm sorry.
Closing the other Grantham location and only having one Grantham school location at the new site. So it would be closing the school. Closing the school.
So the answer to that, the school system is on board with the K-8 school? No, they're not.
The request from the school board is in version 1. Version 2 is our, was the numbers that we ran as a county to look at closure of a school.
So when the chairman say this is our plan, he's talking about that in essence, the thing that's closest to us is the Grantham School. I mean, just about the thing close, beyond the Central Lieutenant Spring Creek Elementary and CBA COP, the next thing on the,
As
for
far
the
as
schools is the Grantham, pretty much.
that would be the first new school construction. The other are renovations.
And they were wanting a middle school, not the K-8. So, in other words, if I hear you right, we're pushing for, this board feels like the best thing for them is a K-8 school, and the school system feel like the best thing for them is to have the elementary in one place and the middle in another. Does that get right to it? I mean, is that it?
I mean, it's just something we're looking at as a discussion point, I think.
So we approve this today. If we were to vote to approve this today, then we're superseding what the school system say they want. I mean, we're making that decision for them.
No,
We are suggesting that decision for them.
no,
Yes.
we're not making a
Wait,
decision.
wait, I want to get to it just right. We're suggesting that decision for
You
them.
would be suggesting it, but you're not making it for them.
And since they've not indicated they want us to suggest this for them, then we're maybe getting ready to vote on something that we should table, Mr. Chairman, and come to some better agreement at the leadership level of the board of chamber, the commission board, and the school board about what we can agree on before we march out into the middle of the stream, clearly saying that we are in disagreement with the kind of schools y'all want, and tell them what we want as a board. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair.
Mr.
I mean, I'm just wondering if
Okay,
that's what it
I
suggests.
could probably clear things up.
Mr.
I'd like to, before I recognize Mr. Daugherty, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion. Pass these out, probably help you out. My amendment to the motion is to take the my amendment to the motion for this option is to take the new Spring Creek School,
No, the Grantham School.
I'm sorry, the Grantham School and the sewer line, and move it from 2015-16 to 2014-13 to coincide with Spring Creek, Charles V. Aycock, and the public school central upgrades. That includes the sewer line, and that is K-8.
So take the 33 million and move the 30 and the 3 million and move over to 2014-15.
Yes, sir, I'd like to amend the motion to move those two to that year.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Daugherty?
can we do that in that short a period of time?
Sir?
Could we, in fact, is there enough time in 2014, 15 to actually start construction on this?
It's a plan.
It's just the plan.
I'm not an engineer, but it looks like we're talking about sewer in here.
Yeah, step up to the microphone. And
And I don't know where they are on this project. Has it been designed? So you
It
talking about-
has.
Oh, you're right.
What, it
The
has?
sewer has.
we have a PER on that. We have a preliminary engineering report, so we do have some steps ahead of us on that, so.
So I don't know what kind of permitting that might have to go through,
Sure.
if there are problems with that or not. They
It
can.
would take about 18 months.
And we also have the plans for the school.
The basic plans.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't.
You can have these.
is
Yeah,
that-
well, he's got,
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir.
And we have those already.
And that school's been built in North Carolina in Johnson County, so it's already been approved by DPI, whoever.
And we've also purchased the property.
I was gonna ask about property. That's always a key
Yes, sir.
issue, but I would ask if it's been planned, have they got an architect on it, it's been designed and all?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Who is that?
That was, what's that gentleman's name out of Greenville?
Hi,
Right.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Height prior to this.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
expect that's where you really need to go to find out what kind of time schedule he can get that on and make sure he understands you're looking for an honest.
It's
You want to
pricing.
know when you can do it.
A lot of it has to do with pricing, the time to build during the recession, pre-recession, post-recession, getting the best price. Instead of waiting as prices climb,
Yeah,
moving further down the road rates may move higher, the expense may be higher.
He's answering all my questions.
It's time to build, is what we've been hearing.
yeah, well, you're probably.
And it's shovel ready, basically.
Yeah, you'll hear that, and again, interest rates have been
You're
going
rapid.
up. If you need something, and if you can afford something, that's the time to do it. I wouldn't try to move faster than I need to move. I'd make sure I was making the right moves, but if you decided you're willing to pay for it, and it's what you want, that's strictly your decision as the
Thank you.
board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
But Jimmy Height can give you a lot more. I'm trying to say coming up here, I'm not an engineer and all.
Again,
They can
this
tell
was
you the
just
whole gamut.
moving it just into the same year, that was all. That's just the amendment, because it is just a plan. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. All those opposed? There's 5 for, and 2 opposed, Mr. Bell and Mr. Cromartie. Now,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bell?
I did not oppose to vote against the schools. I'm for the Grantham School, but I'm sort of at all because I've been through this road before, been down this road before. A few years ago, the school board don't like us getting into their business. They like to meet with us and agree on the process, and then we go from there. But now, we're gonna hand the school board a plan that we came up with. Now, unless they have changed 100%, they're not gonna like that.
Okay, thank you.
And I
That's-
want
that's
to
all I'm
clarify
saying.
something too.
Yes, sir.
I'm voting.
We still
against-
have a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, the amendment was, and the amendment's passed, so we still have a motion on the floor. So we're still into the discussion phase of the motion. So go ahead, Mr. Cromartie.
My concern, and I'm clear that I support and want a school for Grantham. question that I want to know is, has the school board, I want to know that the school board and someone has been in discussion about whether they can become some agreement on a K-8 versus another configuration. And as Mr. Bell said, we make a decision today, it looks like we're telling the school board, this is what you're going to get. And that sends a bad signal, because I've been in this county long enough to read all the newspaper reports of all the bad vibes that have been before, and I do not want to be part of a new one. I don't think that and I ask this board to table this vote until the leadership of the county and the school system can get together. Have they seen this? Have they seen this, Mr. Chairman? Have they seen this? I mean, you just gave it to us. Has the county, has the school board seen this?
I'm not sure.
Then that reinforces my plea to take this and discuss this with them prior to us being put in a position of taking a vote that gives the impression that we are either for or against what we don't know for sure what we're for or against. And this just doesn't do it. And we need to stop right here. And you all get together and discuss this at the leadership level. You, sir, and our manager, and Dr. Taylor, and that board chairperson. And let's not venture where we don't need to go.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Any other discussions?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Daughtery?
folks, these folks in Grantham have been waiting for a school for 18 years. 18 years this has gone on. If there's any place in Wayne County that deserves a school, it is Grantham. The problem that you have is that you currently have a K-8 that is there now. And we heard from the citizens of Grantham stating they wanted a separate middle school just like everyone else in Wayne County has. They do not want a K-8. And I was one pushing for the K-8. But the citizens in Grantham are saying everyone else has got a middle school, an elementary school, and a high school. And so therefore, I applaud the research that was done trying to find some way to provide a middle and an elementary school, because the dilemma is that if you only build a middle school, you're leaving the elementary students in the climate that all of the citizens were concerned about, the mold, the roaches, the rats, and all the things that are there. The sewage is just not workable on that site. And if we are going to make a decision to build a new school for middle school students, undoubtedly it's even more important that we build a elementary school for the elementary students. And I've evolved on this matter, but I think it's time that we step up to the plate and send a clear message that we're ready to move forward. The school board has stated they wanted only a middle school. The problem I have is voting on only building a middle school and leaving elementary students in that situation. So I think this addresses it. When you analyze, and I have spoken with the chairman of the school board, and in speaking with the chairman of the school board, he is estimating the cost of building a combined school would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $26 to $28 million. Here we're speaking of allocating $30 million, where you've solved all of the problems for both the middle school students and also the elementary school students. So that is why I support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Daughtery. Mr. Mayo?
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Daughtery, is that we've got a school there in Grantham that these people have been waiting for so many years. But here's the key. I want to address Commissioner Cromartie's statement for a minute. We as a board are trying to work with the Board of Education, which is something that may or may not have been done in the past. It's immaterial. We're trying to come to the table with them Now, this is a suggestion. What we have adopted today is a suggestion. The school board doesn't have to go along with it. They don't have to agree to anything. But we have the right to do this because we are the funding arm for the Board of Education and the school system. We are the funding arm. We have a right to do this. This is all this is a request. So look, this is what we would like to see. Will you come to the table with us and let's figure something else out if we need to compromise? So this is a plan that's coming from the Board of Commissioners, and it's not pushed off on anyone. It's not the law. It's a request to the Board of Education to let's get something moving. We've got reports from Grantham School, for example, that kids' school packs are sitting on the floor and roaches are crawling into their packs and they're taking them home with them to their own residence. Now, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. So this is a suggestion, and hopefully we can all come together and after 18 years, maybe get this thing going and get it on the books. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Mr. Aycock.
I agree that the Grantham community has been waiting a long time for a new school. And like Mr. Mayo, Mr. Doherty has stated, this is a suggestion, but I just want to make it clear. This is two new separate schools. They're just on the same campus. That's right. It's and this is a suggestion. Like Mr. Mayo said, if the school board doesn't like it, they have every right in the world to come up with another plan. But this is just a suggestion from us or from this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Any more comments? I have just a few. And these are,
no,
excuse me,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Cromartie, you're out of order because
Okay,
I
I'm
have
sorry.
just a few, and then I will recognize you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a few here that I've made some notes of some phone calls that I have received this yesterday afternoon. K-8 kids, will they be able to have their own buses? In this plan, they will. K-3 buses will be for the elementary buses. The middle school buses, they'll have their own buses. They'll be located at the individual sites. They were asking because of the shifts that some of their kids were getting home at 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the evening with no time to have with their families, to play with their brothers or sisters, or with their parents, or do homeworks and take baths. They wanted to make sure that some of the teachers were cramped for space because they had no room and were having to use storage rooms for classrooms or parts for classrooms. The rooms are so small that the desk and the chairs are so close to one another that the teachers cannot move through the classroom to interact with the students. Learning conditions in the support building are not adequate for learning or teaching during winter months because those days second grade teachers have to wear coats, gloves, and hats in classrooms because the heating system is not working. Kids cannot learn in those conditions, find it hard to learn in those conditions. There's also health concerns with the amount of moisture which are in most of the buildings, mold and mildew, kids and teachers with allergies and asthmatic conditions. think, and book bags are left on the ground where rodents are climbing in. That lady called me. And as chairman, Mr. Camardi and the other commissioners, is that I've been here for since 08, and I have never one time tried to get into the business of education. And I've stated that over and over and over again, that the business of teaching children is not my business. Curriculum, I'm not a teacher. I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman, and I build. And logistically, I locate and turn a dollar. You are a teacher, Mr. Camardi. I am not.
And I also...
And wait a second, I'll let you
Okay, go ahead.
respond. But I don't know how to teach children, other than making sure that where they are, they're safe. And when the county has to look at what we can provide in the 21st century, I understand a building that was built in 1922 that needs to come down. And I understand the money it takes to Band-Aid those schools. And these are what I have seen as a builder, a developer, a entrepreneur, a businessman, searching out what works, talking to engineers, talking to reputable engineers and architects, and going and visiting schools in other counties that are growing and seeing successes, and acquiring that information and getting that information back to the commissioners. I find it appalling that you would suggest that I'm hiding or not bringing something to you that in any other way would help. That's what I'm doing. I have finished, Mr. Camardi, with my comments. Yes, sir. I yield to you.
I'm not quite sure what you referenced, the appalling part, but all I ask is that this be shared with the school board and the leadership before we take a vote to suggest that we are making a decision for the school system. I talked with the principal of Grantham Monday before last. I left a message for her to call me. She called me back Monday before last. And there had been discussion about the K environment, and I asked her, would that be acceptable? What does she want? And she distinctly said that they in that community wanted the two separate schools. She referenced some of the older parts that she said would be torn down. I have to assume that that Board of Education has done some research on that and might possibly know what it is that they want. And this has taken nothing away from the research you've done. And this might be technically a better plan. The only thing that I ask is that we be in some sort of an on-board way with the school system prior to voting that this is quote-unquote our plan. And I stand by that, and I stand by what the principal said to me, and she's out there every day. And I don't mind, I'm telling you, you can call her, she can be called right this minute, and unless Ms. Tart has changed her mind, then that's what she said to me. A person that's running that school and has run it for some years. And the board chairman, 2 Sundays back, said personally to me that that's what they want. So I'm at Mount Olive College. So I understand the nature of building buildings and renovating them. I saw Goldsboro Middle School renovated into an immaculate facility that's sitting over on Lionel or Bain, one of those streets. It was an old school, and it was renovated into an immaculate facility. As a matter of fact, I was working over there prior to coming to sit on this board, and it was renovated. So I won't accept that if someone decides something can be renovated, it can be renovated. And so I just would like for the leadership to work together prior to us voting, and that's all.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Payne.
prior to my coming on this board, I sat out on those benches for a complete year. And I heard, and no disrespect to you, Mr. Cromartie,
Sorry.
but I heard that same scenario played out over and over again. We'll get the leadership together. They'll come up with a plan. It never happened. It just simply never happened. Or if it did, it never came back to this board and was, voiced publicly. And again, just please remember, this is a suggestion. We're not throwing down the gauntlet to the school and the Board of Education, because they've got to make the final decision. They really do. Again, we're just a funding arm. But I too want to get this thing moving because it has sat way too long. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. And one final comment is that I did also talk to the teachers, and the teachers want a high school in Grantham, and so do the constituents. And with this layout, it puts 2 schools on 50 acres of property, 2 separate schools, and then it makes room for the high school in where the location is now. So it keeps all 3 schools in the Grantham community. That's all. Mr. Daugherty.
I don't want to complicate the world here, but am I understanding that going forward with the movement of the 30 and the 3,000 over, that we are recommending that the school board build the new school using similar plans? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That being said, and the positives of this is that it is a community school. There is kindergarten through 8th grade in one location. There is a sense of community that's established, that has been established in that community for years on one site. We are having to run sewer out to this location, and it's a lot more efficient to have those 2 schools on that one site, because you're sharing that sewer line, that $3 million that we're having to put in there. But I say that to say that I was interested to find the report from years back that was sanctioned from the Evergreen Solutions. And on page 2, I note, on page 2, Wayne County Public Schools needs to cut executive administrative costs by almost $500,000. It is clear that one assistant superintendent position should be eliminated and the duties consolidated with the remaining position. And this goes back years ago. Now, I point that out to state that I'd like to put an amendment on here indicating that we ask that the central administration cut their central administration staff and overhead by $500,000 to help pay for this additional school that we are going to take on by building the elementary school. Again, sustainability, funding, and so forth. We're closing one school, but we're building 2. So to fund it, I am recommending that the central administration staff cut their budget by $500,000 to help offset the cost of this new school.
Amendments on the floor to ask the school board to cut their administrative costs by $500,000 to make it more affordable for this project.
Per the Evergreen Solutions report.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. All those opposed? It's 5 against 2. That's Mr. Cromartie and Mr. Bell. We still have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of approving this plan that we've discussed, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Yes, there is. It is 5 against 2. It's the 4. Is there any other items that would be brought before the commissioners? Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Does council have anything you'd like to bring up? Closing comments, Mr. Cromartie.
None, sir.
Mr.
We're having a running out of DVD space. I just-
We're-
Yeah, I know, I just, okay.
We
None.
really need to take a break to change.
We're stopping. This is-
Can you find that?
Yes. Mr. Tate?
None, sir.
Mr. Aycock?
None, sir.
Mr. Bell?
You know, I don't believe this, but I want to make a comment.
Please.
I just want to thank Davenport, for over the years, how much you have helped us to accomplish our mission. Without you all, there's a lot of things that, everything you told us today, this is what you told us some years ago, and we have followed that policy. And I know some of my counterparts here probably look at me as being, he voted against the budget. No, I did not want to vote against the policy that we established some years ago. So, and you brought it out in the end as to why we needed to keep the program that we had established ongoing, if we plan to move ahead with all the new buildings and all that stuff that we plan to do. And I hope we can accomplish that. But I like what we was doing. I'm not ashamed to be a part of that group that helped make that policy a reality. So thank you again for your support.
Mr. Daugherty?
I thank you as well. I learned a great deal today. And in my closing comments, I want to say I am extremely proud of our new budget, and I'm extremely proud to have a capital improvement plan that addresses some much-needed building of schools and improving Spring Creek Elementary, central attendance area, and what was the? Charles B. Aycock. Now, those are overlooked here, but those are critical needs of our schools. And what we've done today is, out of a list of the school board of 8 items, 4 of those we're basically committed to today. No more talking, action. 4 of those were committed today. And I just think, I commend the board. I think that it's great that we've come to an agreement to finally move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Mr. Mayo?
Yeah, real short. I think that Wayne County has got a lot of good years ahead of them. I think our future is bright because we are conscious of what is needed in our county, plus we're conscious about what we're spending and how we're spending it. So we're doing like the citizens that are listening have to do at home. We have to watch what we spend and how we spend it. So I think this has really been a really good budget session. I'd like to thank all the commissioners and, of course, our county manager and the staff and our county attorney. Sometimes he's sort of been overwhelmed with some of our comments that we make, whether they're legal or not. But in closing, I'd just like to say that I'm thankful and blessed to be a part of this board and part of Wayne County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I have no comments, but just to thank everyone for attending. Thank you.
Make a